The 3DS is still kicking, and this year there's been a ton of great games. I'm Falcon, and today on GameRanx, the best 3DS games of 2017. Number 10 is Poochy and Yoshi's Woolly World, which is a port of the Wii U title Yoshi's Woolly World. Now, this is a great Yoshi's Island game, basically. There's a little more to it, though, on account you have Poochy. And no, not the Simpsons character that ruined Itchy and Scratchy. Poochy is a dog that is also yarn, as is everything in this game. If you understand the Yoshi's Island gameplay, you basically understand what you're getting here. However, it does go a lot further into the mechanics and makes a very unique experience, I think. There's a few 3DS specific features like Poochy Pups, which kind of are an assistant. They help discover secrets in Mellow Mode, which is the easier mode, as well as a bonus game called Poochy Dash, and more amiibo support than the Wii U one. This is a great game and probably worth getting if you didn't have a Wii U, which is most people. I do kind of hope they port it to the Switch as well, because it definitely didn't get the attention it deserved. Number 9 is Layton's Mystery Journey, the latest in the Layton series, which features a new protagonist, Catrielle, the daughter of Professor Herschel Layton. She's attempting to find Professor Herschel Layton, as a matter of fact. The game came out on smartphones just a short while ago, and it's a big Layton game. Probably the biggest, actually. We talked about it in our recent mobile games videos, and it brings you all of the kinds of gameplay that you'd expect. However, the scale has been upped a little bit, but more importantly, there's a lot more content in this game. It all manages to be damn good, too. If you like a Layton game, and I do, puzzle mystery solving is a lot of fun. Number 8 is Ever Oasis, is an action-adventure role-playing game where you basically try to build an oasis by completing missions and dungeons. Now, obviously, you're out in the middle of the desert with a very small area that is nice and lovely. It's actually a fairly interesting idea for a game. I think there's not enough really gameplay stories built around actual creation, the idea of forging a new living place where there is none. You also spend time finding new residents for your oasis and fighting off chaos. There's a whole ancient Egyptian vibe, however, don't let that color exactly what the game is for you, because it's not necessarily exactly that. But most importantly, this sounds like a game that might be kind of tedious, and it's not. It feels like a full-fledged RPG story, despite being not exactly that. It's something more, as well as something different. Number 7, Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age, which, keep in mind, we have a pretty loose release schedule for still. It may be this year, maybe next year, but it's worth talking about because Dragon Quest is basically the granddaddy of the JRPG as we know it today. Well, I mean, kind of the co-granddaddy with Ultima. But Dragon Quest is a series that's gone since 1986, and it still retains a version of its old turn-based battle system, and it still is awesome. Obviously, this game is not out here yet. You can play the Japanese version if you're an importer, and if you understand Japanese, that's awesome. Dragon Quest X came out in 2012, so it's been a while, and 10 is awesome. It's a great game, and although there have been some non-mainline games in between, for me it's kind of the mainline games, and I'm really excited for this one to come out. Number 6 is Fire Emblem Echoes Shatters of Valentia, which is a full remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden and carries over a very large number of the mechanics, however, obviously retains more of the more modern elements graphically and presentation-wise. But more importantly for me, it does an incredibly good job of giving you an incredibly interesting and dramatic story. Obviously, as a tactical role-playing game, you're a lot more involved in the battles on a more micro level, but on top of that, it brings full voice acting, which is very cool for an old game getting remade. Although it wasn't released in the United States, the original game was released in 1992, and all of the base stuff really holds up. Number 5 is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga and Bowser's Minions, which is, believe it or not, an RPG, and a pretty cool one at that. Now, the Game Boy Advance game was a lot of fun, but it'll be really nice to be able to play it on the 3DS with better graphics, as well as an additional storyline, Minion Quest, in which Captain Goomba searches for Bowser. That's actually going to have different gameplay than the main quest, which is interesting. All in all, the original was such a great game, and this remake should be as well. Number 4 is Yokai Watch 2 Psychic Specters, which is the third version of Yokai Watch 2, an open-world role-playing role-playing game that isn't entirely unlike Pokemon, but to just call it a Pokemon clone wouldn't be really right either. It takes a few different turns, and if you like one, you'll probably like the other, but they're not the same thing. What's nice is Yokai is more party-based, obviously, and it also contains a lot more of the goofiness that you might expect out of a really highly Japanese game. Now, like I said, this is the third version of the game to come out. It's probably not going to be a lot different, but it will contain content that's not in the other two, and if you haven't played it, now would be a good time to, because it is good stuff. Number 3 is Monster Hunter Stories, which actually is really weird for Monster Hunter in that it has a turn-based battle system, but it's pleasantly surprising, quite a bit of fun, at least from the demo we've played, which is out, by the way, if you're interested in trying it on your 3DS, and actually takes kind of a rock, paper, scissors approach to battles, except for with power, speed, and technique. You have different types of attacks in these categories, and depending on what attacks your enemy uses, your attack will be more or less effective. Very, very different from Monster Hunter, but at the same time, it's definitely Monster Hunter at its root. It's fun, maybe even a little bit more fun if you prefer the turn-based JRPG style of play, and certainly going to be worth it on the 3DS. Number 2 is Pokemon Ultrasone and Ultramoon. The game is going to be focusing on a new legendary that doesn't appear in the other Sun and Moon, as well as some of the secrets of Alola, the region in which the games take place in. Basically, stuff starts looking a little bleak around the area, and well, there's mystery to be solved. There's some new evolutions that have been revealed for the game, as well as obviously some new appearance styles, and a new Z Power Ring, which will unlock new Z moves. You'll be able to buy the game separately, as well as in a dual edition that will contain both versions of it, which is honestly probably the best way to buy it. And finally, number 1, in my opinion, is the big one, Metroid Samus Returns, a remake of Metroid 2 from the Game Boy, with a lot of improvements, good improvements might I add, that make this feel like a new game as well as a full-blown classic at the same time. I'm kind of frothing at the mouth to get at this one, to be honest. There's a precision aiming mode added, as well as a lot of cinematic elements that make the game certainly more interesting to look at. If you remember, the Game Boy was not exactly what I would call the best thing to look at. Seeing all of the stuff for this game makes me really, really wish they would make a full-blown 2D Metroid game for a larger console like the Switch. And maybe we will. Fortunately, we are getting Metroid Prime 4, which isn't the same thing, but if you've got a 3DS and missed the old 2D games, this looks like it is going to be the update that pushes it all into the modern age without harming any bit of the goodness of it, and I can't wait. Couple of bonus games for you. The first is Story of Seasons Trio of Towns, which is the latest in the Story of Seasons series, the series formerly known as Harvest Moon, the real Harvest Moon. A remake of Dragon Quest VIII Journey of the Cursed King, which is regarded by many as one of the best RPGs to have ever been made, and Etrian Odyssey 5 Beyond the Myth, which looks to fulfill the idea of a true Pathfinder, and if you know Atlas, you know they're great at the RPGs. Which 3DS game are you looking forward to the most? Leave a comment. If you like this video, please click like, and if you're not subscribed, now would be a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. We thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.